Hello everyone, and welcome to another E3 conference analysis video. Now the last few I've done so far have been by myself, but today I have two awesome people joining me. I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
And I am Jake.
Yeah, and if it's
very different.
Yeah, I bet you were expecting Travis, huh? Surprise.
Haha, it wasn't Travis. He's vacationing somewhere.
Yeah, he's too busy for us.
Travis.
The obvious reason that we're doing this with more people is because this is our channel name, basically. We're doing Nintendo's conference today, and there's a lot of stuff we want to talk about. So yeah, I'll let Nick take it away from here.
All right, so I have a little bit of things, and by a little bit I mean a lot of stuff that I really want to talk about. So one of the first ones is actually, I'm gonna kind of go through like how it started with the Nintendo Direct. And after that, like, we can talk about like some of our thoughts after like the Treehouse and Nintendo Direct and their actual Treehouse thoughts. Mm-hmm. So, first one that I really wanted to mention was Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Atlas.
There you go. That's the one.
Nick is very invested in this game.
Nice.
Loves it. You can tell.
The reason I was talking about that is because when they announced it in the actual Direct itself, they had the actual like old Super Nintendo, Star Fox, actual audio clips and everything. And then in the presentation, they shows nothing that's actually that like resembles the actual Star Fox line.
Yeah.
But I guess my thoughts so far on it is just mainly I don't want it to be Star Fox Zero. Star Fox Zero had a lot of hype behind it and whatnot. It had a lot of promise, and it just fell out flat. I think I mentioned it as one of my most disappointing games in like a podcast that we did a while back. But it really just doesn't look like Star Fox. I like what they're going for because they kind of are going for a way to compete with other AAA games that are around that kind of shooter, sci-fi kind of setting, and that's what Starlink Battle for Atlas is actually kind of showing. I still am thinking there's a weak link with Star Fox in there.
So you have an overall positive opinion on this game, you would say?
It looks good.
Optimistic?
It looks very promising, but at the same time, it just like it doesn't feel like a Nintendo game, honestly, which is kind of a good thing for it.
Well, yeah, the obvious reason for that is because it's a Ubisoft game, and I touched on it a bit in my Ubisoft conference video too, where I said the one issue I have with this game is that you need the toy to play with it, and granted, the toy comes with the game, but I think that's going to kind of turn some people off because it's just extra hardware that you have to get with the game to use it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Nintendo
Star Fox is a guest.
Those gimmicks, and I'm not sure if it's going to be a benefit here.
It's starting to stack up too because like with Pokemon having the Pokeball Plus thing you can add on, the Nintendo Labo having all that stuff, I'm going to start running out of room for all this like extra stuff. So, you know.
Yeah, no, that's actually kind of interesting. But okay, so that one's just going to touch on very, very shortly because that one, I didn't have a ton of thoughts about it. I mean, the Treehouse presentation was kind of good on it too. But one that I'm actually more excited for is the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. Holy crap, it looks amazing. I know I'm like the only person on the channel that's actually completed Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and there's a huge part where they just kind of hint towards DLC in there. And there's a huge story that's missing that I know a lot of people want to actually definitely hear about, and that is Torna, the Golden Story. It's an edition that I definitely will get. Mm-hmm. And honestly, one of the biggest things that attracted me is you get to play as a character called Jin. If you haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that's not going to mean anything to you. But for me, I'm very excited about that. Other things that are good things to note about is that they actually showed Shulk and Fiora as blades that you can have. And one of the things in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is it really goes into a complex relationship between drivers and blades. And so the fact that Shulk and Fiora are actually kind of connected and they're bringing them back as DLC that you can use as blades, I'm very excited to see. I saw some fine text that also said that you might have to have like an expansion pass, but I don't know how that's going to factor in. And so I don't want to pay a lot for it. I'd rather just buy it as like straight DLC. And it's almost going to be like a full game. So it's probably going to be expensive DLC. But, you know, I'm guessing it'll be like around the $35-$40. But overall, I'm very excited for it too. It's coming out September 2018.
Yeah, that one does look very fun. It's cool because Xenoblade was kind of I don't want to say it was gone, but there was a big time period where it didn't feel like they were doing much with it between, the original and then the Wii U one. And now it seems like it's a franchise that is really starting to get to the top of their list. So I think that's really cool.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about it. So yeah, no, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has a lot of good stuff. I know Jake has been watching me a couple of times when I was playing it was almost like when I was in, was it Gormont? I'm pretty sure it was in, or crap, I can't remember what the village was called, but he was like almost dancing to like the jig of the music and whatnot. Oh man, it was hysterical. So honestly, it'd be really cool if Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the DLC, like comes up with more like music as well, but we'll see about it.
Yeah, that'd be cool if they had it pretty exclusive to like the DLC, like really just cater it to the game, make I don't know, make it truly unique, put the like new music to it, along with like the new blades, characters and such. Yeah, it'd be cool.
And Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like they definitely had like a huge hinting at this might be like an addition or like and whatnot. So I'm happy that they're doing it. But Jake, you want to tell us about Super Mario Party?
I would love to. So Super Mario Party. So this guy. 80 mini games, which is actually nuts. That was like, when I look back on the old Mario parties, those are always my favorite parts. It's like getting with your friends, just like really throwing down the mini games and having 80 of those. And going back to the original formula of the Mario parties too, like back in the past.
Yeah, and you played Bowser Party with us too, and so you know how annoying like the whole card mechanic was. And
exactly.
Basically, I think when they lost Hudson, and I'm pretty sure Hudson was the reason why, at least when they're working on the games, why it went to that newer style. They used the excuse where it's just like, oh, it's not as interactive. They want everybody, they want other opponents' turns to affect other people, which always happened in Mario Party. So that was such a terrible excuse. Yeah. But now that they're actually going back to like the old school like Mario Parties 1 through 8, I think it has a lot of promise there. I know Mike has a lot of things to say about this too, though. Mike, what do you think about Super Mario Party?
Well, first of all, I have a theory here. I feel like, looking at the Wii U and Switch, I almost feel like Nintendo tanked the Wii U on purpose for some reason. Because
PlayStation with the Vita?
Basically, because ever since the Switch came out, they've pretty much fixed every problem that they had. And Mario Party is the big one, like we just mentioned with the board being the way it is. I'm so happy that they're going back to it finally. But it's weird because Mario Party 10, that was the second time they did it, and they knew that people hated Mario Party 9 for doing it, but they kept it anyway. So, I don't know. I feel like they did it on purpose to make the Wii U look bad, to make the Switch look better. I don't know. That's a fun theory for you guys. But, no, I'm obviously super excited for this game also. It's been a long time since we've been able to play it this way on a new console. And on top of that, we're probably going to talk about it a little bit more too, but there's some online in this game, which is more than I expected. I personally thought they were not going to have any online at all. So I'm not as disappointed as Nick might be because it's Mario Party and they've been so against online in that game for a while. But being able to do the mini games, I don't know why either, but the mini games being online is at least a start, because then at least there's something you can do online with it, especially since they're going to start charging people to play online. I think you have to have online in almost every single game that's co-op now in order to make it worth doing. So I'm glad that that's something they're starting out at least.
Yeah, and Nintendo's like online kind of like original start doesn't really have like a ton of games for it. And it makes sense for like that's why we thought Smash Bros might be coming around like the September or whatnot, because that's like the launch of their actual like paid online service.
Right.
But like they had like Kart, they had Splatoon, they had like games like that, but it just, in my mind, they didn't have like as strong of like a reason to actually like go out and actually get the online mode, I guess. I think this is one, and actually a game that we're going to be mentioning later is also another reason for it. But I know they're making their online resume, I guess, a lot stronger, which is definitely necessary if they're going to actually get people to start paying for it when Nintendo usually not charged up for it. For sure. But yeah, so moving on to another game, and this one is more for me because I don't think Jake has ever played these games. I know Mike has played a couple of them. I tried to get Travis and Matt into them as well. But that one is Fire Emblem 3 Houses. And I know this was maybe for like a couple of minutes I saw that, but I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, and everything about it, oh my gosh, looks so good. The only negative that I kind of have is that if you guys have been following the 3DS games, one of the first 3DS games that, like from Awakening to like the Fates games, the Fates cutscenes were absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
But now it's like the 3D, or the 3DS games with Fire Emblem Echoes. I think because like certain studios got involved with the actual animations itself, and now it's the animations don't look as good, but it still looks fine, and it still looks like a cool Fire Emblem feel to it. But it's gonna, if you guys are used to the 3DS games, I feel like it's the actual style of cutscenes are gonna be more along the lines of Shadows of Valentia than Fire Emblem Fates. Right. So if you've been fans of the series before, you're going to understand what I mean by that. So it looks amazing, and one of the really important things that they're talking about is when they actually go into the battles itself. The 3DS games had a way on trying to pan it into the characters like battling like an almost like a first person thing, like taking from the top down view and then looking as like on there. But now they actually have a way to do so where you are having the units. Like they actually have an army with them that are attacking other like people at a time. I think that's so cool. It's going to be a really cool dynamic addition to the game. And I think that combat, or I guess that camera version of the combat, is going to be very welcome in the Fire Emblem series.
Yeah.
Another couple things. Oh, sorry, Mike, did you say anything?
Well, I was going to mention something about the battle formation because I don't know if you can answer this. I don't know how much they've talked about in the treehouse stuff, but I was kind of curious with the formation because I like the fact that you can attack as an army, and I was curious, do you have to like line yourself up in that formation to do it, or is it just something that's like automated? You know?
I think it's automated, if I'm understanding your question right.
Yeah.
Because you still just see like the one unit on like the grid kind of field, which still works.
Right.
But the combat it just shows the army that I guess is fighting with them.
Gotcha.
So you don't have to like equip an army with them, I think, if that was your question.
Yeah, that answers it.
Yeah. And so a couple other things that I want to note about is one of the big ones is that weapon durability is back. And in Fire Emblem Fates, I actually loved the fact that you didn't have to worry about the weapon durability. I thought it was almost kind of unnecessary to handle, but it is very interesting to see back. Some people like it, some people don't like it, just from the comments that I've been reading. We'll see how it's received. It's such like a minor thing in there, but weapon durability being back actually does make a pretty big change when you're talking about like the game itself.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, weapon durability is like you have certain uses of tomes, swords, lances, axes. You have a certain amount of like uses of that item before it breaks, and you can't use it anymore. So basically, you find a legendary weapon, you can't just use it forever. You could do that in Fire Emblem Fates, but they had other negative consequences on it. It'll be nice to see. It's nice to see weapon durability coming back, but I don't know how it's going to be received.
Probably negatively, the way Breath of the Wild was received, you know. I don't think people are major fans of it. I like it more in Fire Emblem because Fire Emblem's more of a strategy game, so you have to plan your attacks, and so I like it coming back because I like the strategy aspect of it. I didn't like it in Breath of the Wild because Breath of the Wild is not really a strategy game, it's an adventure game.
Yeah.
So I think it's more fitting for Fire Emblem, personally.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually a good point. Thank you, Mike. I think I'm kind of looking forward to it now.
Yeah, there you go.
So, if you guys are curious, in the Nintendo Direct, it talks about spring 2019 is when it's coming out. And for me, that is way too long to wait. I don't want to wait that long. I don't. I want the new Fire Emblem right now because I love Fire Emblem games.
Yeah.
Impatient man.
Very impatient. Very impatient. So, now, Jake.
Oh, man.
What's this next game that we have?
So, man, this next game I know something about. It's crazy. So this is a game called Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And so this was just announced. Definitely took the limelight at the Treehouse for sure. And Beck, you get a few words about that.
Me and Mike have some strong opinions about that for sure.
Yeah.
But let's go through the informational stuff first.
So with the new Smash Bros, it feels like they're finally listening to the fans of the game, from both like a competitive and casual aspect for that. So they're bringing back a few different things from the older games, namely directional air dodging, and at a more practical level, every stage that was in the previous, not every stage, but they brought back a lot of stages from other games, as well as the entire old cast from every other game, which is huge. And then the stages that they do have, they have both Omega and Battlefield stages that are available for those. Other mechanics like roll stalling, showing staling, roll stalling, the showing stocks after a knockout, the dash canceling, picking the stages before a character. There's just like a lot of mechanics that they seem to be like listening to the fans about, which is cool.
And the two big characters that are announced.
So Ridley, who is not in any of those series, as well as the Inklings are in the series. So as much as we, would have liked to see him in the other games, so every other, like I mentioned before, former character in the game, like Snake, Pokemon Trainer, a lot of newcomers, and Ice Climbers as well, which is cool. Yeah.
And so now to talk about a couple of the other ones, like again, just to get all the informational stuff out of the way, because me and Mike have some, and I know Jake has some strong opinions of this game so far. Yeah. You're starting with the original 12 characters, which I think is a very good idea. So you're going to be unlocking characters left and right. As certain people in the competitive scene have already talked about, you can turn stage hazards off, which is very cool. And so, obviously, stages are brought back from Melee and whatnot. And the one thing that I still don't have any news about is about the neutral stages. I would like to see more neutral stages from like a competitive standpoint or whatnot, maybe like different platform layouts or whatnot. That is one thing that I'm kind of sad to see that didn't actually get announced. But otherwise, there's a different way to perfect shield, and there's also throw cancels that I heard, which is very odd in my mind. Also, another big thing to note about is that damage output in a 1v1 is actually higher than it would be in like a group match, in like a 4v4 or something like that.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Weird to me. Like, is that just weird to you too, Jake? Like, I don't know.
I guess I kind of understand it with like the damage stacking, but like I'd have to look more into it because I would assume that the damage is normal output in a 1v1 that's reduced in a 4v4 versus it being like amplified. So just for like the sake of like the chaos going on in the stage and just like making it a little more of a fun experience because you always have the guy camping in the corner. So
you have CJ just like shooting arrows in the corner like when we were playing PM. God.
Exactly. So. Yeah, another new thing is the GameCube controllers that they are remaking for this game specifically.
Thank God, they're so expensive. Mike, have you seen those controllers? Like how much they cost?
Yeah, very expensive.
Yeah, and so that's why unless you go to like a tournament and get like a deal for people who are actually using the other controllers for like different parts, you're gonna be paying like $100 for them.
Yeah.
So thank God they're actually, especially with the new game coming out, it's nice to actually see that they're actually gonna be making more of them. So hopefully those aren't gonna be $100 like when the holiday season hits.
And then still making them like adaptable as well for the older controllers, like leaving that ability to plug and play for what you do have now. So yeah.
But yeah, Mike. So do you want to start with some? You want to start with some of your opinions on it because we got through a lot of the informational stuff. But what do you think dominated the Treehouse presentations over there?
Oh my God. Well, this is what annoyed me because I'm different than you guys as far as like because you guys like Smash Bros. A lot more than me, and I know it annoyed you, Nick, which is how I know it went on for too long. Because for me, I like seeing the gameplay and I like seeing how it works, but I don't care much about anything you guys really talked about as far as like canceling and scaling and all that stuff. So for me, I needed about a good 30 minutes to an hour of it, and watching the Invitational was enough for me to see, oh, this is how the game plays. I didn't really need more than that, but that's all Nintendo gave us at this point. And there's so much other stuff I would have loved to heard more information about. I would have loved to see more about Super Mario Party or Fire Emblem or things like this, but it felt like all those got pushed to the side for a game that was already announced. It's not like this is a game that was announced at E3. So there's so much other stuff they could have talked about, and I could go on and on, because there's so many games they didn't even bring up at all. They didn't bring up Yoshi at all. They didn't bring up Metroid at all. So there's so much stuff that they just didn't even talk about, period, that I feel like could have been in there if you would have cut a little bit of the Smash Bros. Time. So, the roster thing...
Like Mega Man or anything.
Right, exactly. And like the roster thing I thought was cool, and I'm glad they're bringing all the characters back, but you didn't have to show me every single character in the game to get the point across. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they could have done that in a way that would have made time better, or you could have made the direct a little bit longer. I don't know. I just felt like, because we talked about all these awesome games like Starlink and a bunch of other ones, but they had like a 3-minute time slot where they just rapid fired them and didn't talk about them at all, and then it was 25 minutes to Smash Bros. I felt like it was kind of a slap in the face to all the other games coming out.
It honestly was. And like, again, for me to get sick of seeing Smash Bros., that's kind of a red flag for them. It was like almost every single other presentation, like at the Treehouse, was, let's look at Mario Tennis Aces. Let's go back to Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And like, have we talked about Smash Bros. Yet? And like, basically, you saw like, there's like a picture that I saw, like between Microsoft and Sony, like, we want to talk about games. And then you see like a bird in the corner screaming, Smash! And it's just Nintendo. And it keeps going, and it's just like, it's so true. While I was excited about Smash Bros., I was getting unexcited about it just because of the fact that, like, they just mentioned it so much. I don't care about the Kirby hat, neutral B, whatevers. Like, you don't need to show it that much. Also, the people who were playing the game weren't that good. And I don't care to watch those people ever, like, playing the game. But I know that's what they're trying to, like, attract people with, but I think that just wasted time, because if you're going to want to watch people who were, like, especially if you're following, like, I guess, in, like, the competitive scene, you're not going to care when they play. Right. But the second you bring in other people to play the game for you, if you want to try to get that audience, like, you have the Invitational. So you have the other people, like maybe some other famous people that are playing the games, and you see them having fun. The point of the Treehouse, in my mind, is supposed to be some informational content, see what's new in the game, and then see other people playing the game. But when the people try to go from informational to try to crap talking to the Treehouse people, I'm like, why? That seems like such like a conflict in my mind.
And I understand that this is their flagship, right? Like, this is, like, the staple of, like, Nintendo games as far as, like, what we're seeing right now. But the people that are Smash fans are going to buy the new Smash, period. Like, it's going to happen. I really think that this would have been a good opportunity to kind of showcase those other games and kind of expand, like, that platform that they have. So it's a little unfortunate. I agree that it kind of got overshadowed by Smash, all the other games. But...
yeah, and there's so many other good ones that they definitely should have talked about. And again, like, I know they're probably going to be making a lot from this new Smash Bros. And whatnot. And again, a lot of people are excited about it. Like, like 68 characters, something like that. Like, it's ridiculous, all the things that they're actually, like, putting into this game. But it definitely, they mentioned it way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much. And honestly, like when it gets to the part where people get unexcited and they actually want to see like the new games, Nintendo should have recognized that.
Yeah,
I can understand. I can kind of give them a pass like last year because they didn't really have any other. They didn't really have other games that they were really that they had hyped up about, and like the Switch was like not that. I guess it's still like more of a recent thing developing, and now they have the Switch games that they can actually announce. But like before, like I'm not going to fault them for really talking about Breath of the Wild all the time because it's a development for such a long time, and that was like their main game that they're talking about. They have other games here. They have the new Pokemon game, which we're going to talk about next. They have again like Starlink. They have Fire Emblem. They have Metroid that they announced. They probably pushed back Yoshi, but we didn't hear anything about. And it just, I don't like the way that they handled that presentation. Even though I loved a lot of the games that they announced, I did not watch any of the Smash Bros. Ones after I think the second Treehouse presentation.
Right. Hey, I look at Bethesda. Their like big game this year is Fallout 76, which is inevitably going to make them so much money the way Elder Scrolls Online did. But they saved that for the end, and they still gave at least 5 minutes to Wolfenstein, 5 minutes to Doom, to Rage, to all their other games too. So they still showed respect to all their other games, and then they sort of had the big ending with Fallout 76. So that's the way to do it, I would say. You know, don't overshadow the other ones. Just save it.
Mm-hmm. And Nintendo did that, I guess, like in the Direct, I think, for March or something like that. Because you remember, like, at the very end, they were just like, oh, no news for Smash Bros. And at the very end, they just show a Smash Bros. Logo on the back and the Inklings were fighting off and whatnot. Right. So they've done it before. Mm-hmm. They should have just kept that same thing for the, like, the presentation for, like, the Treehouse. Or just do informational things and not try to, like, see, like... Because if you're going to watch gameplay, you're going to want to watch other people doing the gameplay, not the people who are there to give the information, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
And the more you show... The more you show, the less excited you get for a game, too. Like, I feel like I was so hyped, and now it's like, I don't even care as much to play it because I've seen so much of it already, you know?
I agree.
Anyway.
All right, Mike, do you want to start talking about Pokemon Eevee or Pokemon Yellow, whatever, or do you want me to start with that?
I already made a video on it, as most of you know that saw that on this channel, so a lot of people kind of know my opinion on the game. I am a huge fan of it. It's not the main Pokemon game that's coming out next. It's sort of just a side thing, which is why I think this is absolutely perfect if you look at it in terms of a spin-off. I like how it relates to Pokemon Go because it revives that app, basically. I re-downloaded it. I haven't played it in forever, but now I'm back into that app. So it works as far as that goes. The Pokemon Plus thing looks really cool. I'm probably going to pick that up, because I like wasting money on stupid stuff. But it just seems fun to play a Pokemon game like that. I like the fact that it's the original town, it's the original Pokemon. I like the fact that the Alolan forms are in it, though, too. It has enough of a variety, and I love the co-op aspect of it, I think, more than anything. Because that's never been in a Pokemon game, you know? Being able to, like, actually walk around a town with your friend, I think is such an awesome idea. So I'm a big fan of it.
Oh, yeah. And there's a couple of, like, really cool things, like... One of the big things that's a big difference is because you see the influence from Pokemon Go. So, like, if you're talking about catching in Pokemon Go... Like, that's that's like what's in the new Pokemon game in there. But there's still normal turn-based mechanics. Like, you got 4 moves, and, like, the type advantages and disadvantages that you have are very present. So it's a good blend of both of them. Again, I talked about it with Mike and Travis before. I'm personally not as excited about it, but that's just me. Like, I'm a huge fan of a lot of Pokemon things, but as I talked about before, honestly, Pokemon Sun and Moon like almost killed a lot of my excitement about new Pokemon games. So maybe Mike and Travis gets this game and tells me how much they love it, and I'll give it a second chance. But as of right now, I'm not overly excited like I know a lot of people are for it. But that's just me personally. One thing that I do like about it is they showed it in the Treehouse. The gym design looks amazing. Like, you know, like in the TV show when you're like, you see like the Pokemon out there, the battle, like you see the stands and the sides and everything. That's like how the gym battles are going now, and I think that's awesome. It should not have taken them like 7 generations to actually get to that point. Yeah. Come on, people.
What I like about this game is it feels more like a full experience because the other games are so focused on the battling. You know, you send your Pokemon to a center to train them. You do Pokemon battles to catch Pokemon. You fight them. This game, I feel like the way you catch them, you don't attack Pokemon. You just throw a Pokeball at them to catch them. They have the Pokemon Go park where you like get Pokemon from Pokemon Go and you raise them in a little park. So I feel like this game isn't just focused on training your Pokemon to fight. It's like you actually raise them or, you know, you catch them in a more peaceful way. So it doesn't feel like it's more actiony. You know, it feels like you're more caring for the Pokemon. There's a lot more to do with them. And from that perspective, I think it looks really fun. If this was a full-fledged Pokemon main series game, I could see it being a problem, the way you catch them. But I think since it's a spin-off, I think it works perfectly. I like the idea of not just fighting. You know, there's more to this game than just attacking them.
Yeah. Okay, so now these next couple games are gonna go a little rapid fire, mainly because of the fact that like there's not a ton of things and like they've maybe talked about them a lot. Or this next one, Fortnite, kind of a meme game, and when people were trying to get it to go to Switch, and it actually showed up for the Switch.
I was very
And
surprised.
guess which idiot got that game?
This one right here.
Yeah.
Our very own Nick.
Yes, I actually did get Fortnite, and one thing that was actually, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually having a lot of fun with the game. For me personally, I never thought that I would like really get into it. I wouldn't say like into the game, but I think it's a fun game to play here and there. But one thing that I like is that this, like for Fortnite, it's actually showing more competition between Sony and PC, which is where Nintendo doesn't really show a lot of competition in my mind.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that they're actually competing a little bit, even though they're not trying to like overly compete. Like it shows that the Switch is more of like a versatile like console that can actually go more out of the range that people would think a typical Nintendo hardware could go. But sadly, there's still not the PS4 crossplay, and I don't understand that.
Sony's so against it for some reason. I'll never understand why.
And I don't get that.
It's weird.
It is very weird. So that was rapid fire for Fortnite. Unless Mike, you have anything to say about it?
No, you pretty much covered it.
Cool. Overcooked 2. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited for this one.
All right, cool.
That's about it for
No, that's about it for
No,
Overcooked 2.
kidding.
But no, what was cool about Overcooked 2, and this is the one thing that I thought Super Mario Party would have, they actually have online multiplayer.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to do Overcooked 2, and hey, maybe future series on the channel, hint hint, wink wink.
I don't want to say maybe. I'm just going to pretty much confirm that's going to be a thing. I will make this happen no matter what. Because there's new recipes, there's new places, there's like different like traps and stuff they have in each level is like completely different. It looks so awesome, and I'm so pumped for it.
Yeah.
And you can cook on a hot air balloon.
There you go.
So like, the basic premise looks the same.
Right.
And like, I think with online, the troll potential is probably
Oh my god, that would be
know.
so good.
a little unreal. But yeah, making the sushi looks fun. Again, like the multiplayer is gonna be huge. So yeah.
And new world map and hidden levels.
Yep.
I don't know if there's hidden levels in Overcooked on the original. Was there, Mike?
No, there was not.
Unless we weren't good enough to find them.
Yeah, that could be the case, I will admit.
That's fair. Okay, well, either way, now again, so this one we're not going to talk about it a ton because we talked about it in our anticipated releases video, Mario Tennis Aces, and a little more news that actually came out on it, which is actually kind of cool. It's actually going to be a Mario-centric story, so I'm not sure for those who've played like Mario Tennis Power Tour or Mario Golf Advanced Tour, those were actually focused, yes, Mario will not like pop up every now and then, or I guess like more at the end, if anything. But it wasn't actually Mario-centric. That was actually focused around either Neil or Ella. I can't remember what the other names were. Maybe Clay and... There's one other name. But either way, yeah, it's a Mario-centric story, so it's a little bit different than the former ones. And one thing that was weird, that's a plot device that I saw, is apparently there's a mind-controlling tennis racket.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I'm very curious to see how that's going to be, like, used, I guess.
Me too.
But yeah, I'm excited for Mario Tennis Aces. I guess like the meter resourcefulness, I guess, is really cool. What was cool also is they brought Nairo and Zero. For people who don't know, for competitive Smash Bros, they were very big players in Brawl and were some of the best Smash 4 players as well. They're both invited for the Invitational. I think Nairo might have been a backup, and it was really cool seeing them both like actually face off at it because their reaction time is ungodly good. So when you see people with that reaction time playing a tennis game, oh, it's hilarious.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
Yeah, the demo looked amazing. I liked it a lot.
Demo was interesting. Let's say that. So, I guess for the last one that's on the list that we're really going to talk about, and that's Octopath Traveler, but that one's coming out within like a month, and I'm going to keep it short. The one thing that was cool to see about Octopath Traveler is that their new demo that they have is going to actually carry on the save data onto your full game when you're able to actually download the game when they release it, which I think that's really good. And you can play as any of the 8 characters in the demo. So you can get a good jump on Octopath Traveler if you just get the demo like on the eShop right now.
Yeah. That's good because I was not going to download the demos because I love waiting until the game comes out. But now that this information is out, I have plans on playing the demo because now I know there's a reason to try the demo because it'll actually help me out in the game a little bit. So, I like that.
Okay. So now here's a little disappointing part where I'm going to throw in a little bit of salt right here. So they also talked about, I think the games that are also coming, I think for Switch, is Paladins, DBZ Fighter Z. I'm pretty sure the Dragon Ball Z Fighters that are coming there. I'll do a little searching on there. I think Monster Hunter is going as well, Mega Man. I know they announced Crash Bandicoot as well, so which is really cool. But the one thing that's very disappointing, and I know we mentioned it just a little bit, there was no mention of Yoshi for the Switch, which they announced last E3. No notice of Animal Crossing, and nothing on the development of Metroid Prime 4. So that's a little things that I was disappointed in Nintendo that they didn't even really mention or talk about like at all. And I'm very sad that they didn't do that, because I feel like they had a huge opportunity to do so, but instead there is a bird screaming Smash Bros. The whole entire Treehouse presentation, and made me very unexcited for it.
Yeah. That was the problem. I think last E3 was so big for them. I think that's why this one was so disappointing to me. It's obviously there was no Kirby because they just released a Kirby game, but there was no Donkey Kong. The only Donkey Kong thing is a third-party Ubisoft DLC for a Mario game. So, and there hasn't been an original Donkey Kong game yet because Tropical Freeze is not an original game. So, really no franchise did anything today. I think that's why Nintendo overall was kind of disappointing to me. It was all releases we knew, and then Smash Bros. Dominated. Everything else was like either third-party or just not there, and it was kind of sad.
And even if they were working on a game like Super Mario Party, Fire Emblem, or something like that, like they just almost neglected it to a point.
Right.
Like, and it was really sad. Like, I would have rather seen a second person or a second like Treehouse like segment of them playing Fortnite over the freaking Smash Bros. Thing. And I don't watch Fortnite.
Right.
So it's like, that's a problem. And I'm sorry. I was very disappointed that Nintendo actually had that as an issue, because I didn't think that seeing too much Smash Bros. Was going to be an issue.
Yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, so that's my little notes right there, Mike. Do you have things you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, to summarize, to kind of help close this off, as far as like ranking them goes, because I've kind of been doing that with all these, Nintendo's was definitely worse than last year's. It was still a good press conference. I think it was in the upper half. Definitely was not my favorite conference for the reasons that we've all talked about. There was just so many games they could have talked about that they chose not to. But if you look past that and you would completely ignore the ratio of how much they showed one game compared to another, Nintendo has some solid games coming out still. And I think the next year or so is going to be a good year for Nintendo still. I agree. Switch still looks good. So, I'm happy. I'm just not as happy as I thought I would have been.
Yeah, that's fair. I think in the point of like handling the presentation and like the time that they had at E3, I think Nintendo didn't do the best like time management wise, I guess. Whatever to say it. But that's just me personally. We'd love to hear your comments.
Yep.
And what games that you're also excited about, because we talked about the games that we're all excited about. How about you, Jake? Out of all the games there, what games are you most excited about?
Super Smash Brothers. Honestly, like I think that's the obvious choice, but truly and deeply, Overcooked 2. I really think that was just like a fun game you can play with your friends. It's a challenge for sure. And I think it's just a simple, enjoyable game. I get a lot of kick out of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm happy that it's on the Switch.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's all that I wanted to say. Overall, I guess I'll say the same thing with Mike. I do like what Nintendo, like some of the games that they had. Don't like the way that they presented them.
For sure.
But yeah, Mike, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, so, like Nick said earlier, let us know in the comments what games you're excited for. And, if you liked their press conference, if you thought it was better or worse than last year, where you rank it in terms of all the other press conferences, we love to know. We have our opinions, and we know you have yours too. So let us know in the comment section below. And, thanks for watching, guys. Adios.
All right, see you, everybody.